it's my great pleasure to introduce Secretary Cardona.
Good afternoon. How we doing? Really happy to be here. I want to thank you, Angela. Moms Demand Action is a force to be reckoned with. Let's hear it for them. I also want to thank Senators Chris Murphy and Richard Blumenthal and Everytown for Gun Safety for organizing this first ever National Safer Communities Summit. Let's give it up for them. I saw Congresswoman McBath here. We know former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords is here also. And I know the Commissioner of Education for Connecticut, Charlene Russell Tucker's in the house too. Let's give all of them a round of applause. And a special thank you for the presence of the families impacted by school shootings who I know are here today. Thank you for being here. You know, a decade ago, I was proudly serving as principal of Hanover Elementary School in Meriden, Connecticut, just a half hour away from the senseless tragedy at Sandy Hook School. I remember that morning vividly and how it shook our entire community. There was a numbness felt across the building. There were tears shed by teachers in the break room between classes. I remember hearing from my dad, who now a retired police officer, who went to Sandy Hook to help secure the area. And I remember hearing from him about the horrific events that unfolded. I remember the panicked phone calls from parents asking, Miguel, what are you going to do to keep my child safe? And I remember the thoughts that went through my own head, because I'm a father, you know. The title I appreciate the most and I love the most is Papi. At the time, I had 2 kids in elementary school. How could we keep them safe? If it could happen in Newtown, it can happen in Meriden. It's why, to this day, when I drop my children off, whether it's college or high school, I always say a prayer, God, keep them safe, protect them. In the weeks after Sandy Hook, I remember feeling powerless and outraged. I thought to myself, if we as a people normalize the slaughter of innocent children, then we have bigger problems on our hand. If we as a country care more about selling AR-15s than saving the lives of children, we've lost our way. We no longer ask if it's going to happen again, but when and where. I never imagined that a decade after Sandy Hook, I would be serving as the Secretary of Education and traveling to Uvalde, Texas, to grieve. For 19 murdered children and 2 educators. I attended the wakes of 4 murdered children and a teacher who was gunned down protecting her students, and her husband who died of a broken heart just days later. I remember listening to the cries of parents living their worst nightmare, a grief felt across the country where gun violence kills over 3,600 children and youth each year. After the mass for the murdered teacher and her husband, I was outside the church and I saw a group of teachers from Robb Elementary School. And I went over to them and I started talking to them. And you know, tears were flowing and one of them looked at me. She looked me in the eye and she said, please do something. Those are the same desperate cries for action we heard after Newtown and Parkland and Santa Fe. And in the countless communities that have lost children to gun violence, but have never made the national news. But something was different this time. This time, Washington listened to the voices of the American people. And this month marks 1 year since President Biden signed the bipartisan Safer Communities Act into law. You in this room made that possible. You made it possible. Look, at the Department of Education, we're all acting with that same sense of urgency we felt after Sandy Hook and after Uvalde and all the other countless murders that we've heard about. This year alone, we've seen 270 mass shootings and 180 gun-related incidents on school campuses. In every single case, there are children and youth facing trauma that impacts their ability to learn and to thrive. It compounds the mental health crisis. And it's compounding the teacher shortage, too. We don't pay teachers enough already, so I'm sure as hell not going to stay quiet about fighting for their safety. At the United States Department of Education, we got over $2 billion out the door already. The first $1 billion is for training and preparing more people for careers in school-based mental health, an effort that will bring 14,000 more school counselors, therapists, and other mental health professionals that we know our students need. We're maximizing this effort by cutting the red tape that has made it tough for schools to expand health services. Until now, it's virtually impossible for districts to file claims with programs like Medicaid or Children's Health Insurance Program, CHIP, even though they cover 55% of the kids in America. That's 41 million children. At one of our first cabinet meetings in DC, the president pushed us to make the process simpler. So we're sitting around that table, that big table that you see. The president looks at Javier Becerra, the Secretary of HHS, Health and Human Services, and me. He goes, Javier, Miguel, fix that process. It's not working. And when the President of the United States looks at you and tells you to do something, you do it. You do it. So I'm proud to share that today, Health and Human Service Secretary Javier Becerra and I sent a letter to every governor in the nation letting them know how we've simplified the reimbursement process for behavioral health in our schools. That is happening. We got it done. We got it done, and mental health support services in schools can be reimbursed by Medicaid. That's going to provide a long-lasting, sustainable impact in our ability across the country to provide mental health supports to our students. The second $1 billion from BISCA will help schools shore up security and build safer, more positive and supportive school cultures. And there's a lot of flexibility for how schools could use the Stronger Connections grant funds. But let me be clear. A lock on a school door is no match for an AR-15. And please don't get me started on the politicians pushing us to arm teachers, all right? These are the same politicians who don't trust teachers to choose the right books for our classrooms, and now they want to... You don't trust them to pick out books for kids, and now you want to put guns in their hands? Come on, man. School safety is about more than metal detectors and security cameras. Students need to feel safe enough to share what's going on in their lives so we can address the trauma before the despair takes over, so we can intervene and prevent violence before it strikes. This is critical, especially in communities struggling with gun violence on a daily basis. We're talking about evidence-based approaches that improve behavioral and academic outcomes by making students feel safer, accepted, and protected in our schools. Protected, welcome, and accepted in our schools. And let me just take a moment to say, all means all, not some. We're also investing $50 million in 21st century community learning centers so that youth have enriching opportunities outside of school to keep them engaged and safe from violence. We know safer communities lead to safer schools. The Biden-Harris team gets that, and that's why we're making investments in that. This is how we raise the bar for student mental health, by building the infrastructure of care and support that students need before it's too late, before the despair sets in. We'll continue investing in trauma-informed learning, and safer schools, and community violence prevention. This work is important. It will save lives, but let me be clear, it's not enough. It's not enough. It will not be enough until we get tougher gun laws. Until we restore President Biden's assault weapons ban, until we truly have universal background checks and stop the flow of illegal guns on our streets, we need to do more. We need to do more. I need our Republican leaders in Congress to listen to the cries of the parents and teachers and do their jobs. Do their jobs. I want to shout out here the governor and the bipartisan team that passed gun safety legislation here in Connecticut. But across the country, let's give them a round of applause. Across the country, we must not accept the status quo. Not when guns are the #1 killer of children and youth in America. Not when students are getting shot on their way to school. Not when educators have to teach children how to run, hide, and fight before they can teach them how to read. We cannot give up. This is our moment. We must keep pushing. We must keep organizing. We must keep voting. And as President Biden recently said, there'll come a point where our voices are so loud, our determination so clear that we can no longer be stopped. I'm really proud to say that POTUS is on his way here. He's in the air now. Are you ready to make some noise today? Let's make sure we keep making noise, make sure they hear us. Just over a week ago, as Angela said, I was fortunate to be with Angela, but I was also speaking with Vice President Kamala Harris at a rally for gun violence awareness. The conference was at John Lewis High School in Springfield, Virginia. And I couldn't help but think of the late, great Congressman John Lewis's wise words when he said, "If not us, who? And if not now, when?" I'm honored to be here with you today. I'm honored to join you in the fight. Let's continue to fight. Our children are watching. Pa'lante siempre. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.